Hello, how you guys doing? I tried making a video, didn't a live video where we all kind of hung out and interacted. Didn't do so well. Wi-Fi here is terrible, so I think what I might do is this weekend I might go live, not even necessarily live with the video, but just do like a kind of video chat for 1 hour, a designated 1 hour time, and take the video out of it, and hopefully the Wi-Fi holds up long enough to be able to make that work. So I apologize, guys. It's one of the things about living out here in Costa Rica. Wi-Fi is infrastructure is decent, like it's not bad, but sometimes Wi-Fi kicks your ass, and it's hard when you're trying to run a business online. Let's have a little bit of food here. Got some lentils going on, a little bit of tofu. Sandy's still doing her vegan thing. And one thing that I've really learned about veganism, which I was really surprised by, is that the food that they eat is freaking amazing. It's really good. Sandy's a good cook too, but really flavorful and tasty, good healthy sources of carbs. Right now, like I said, I've got the lentils going on, a little bit of tofu. What's that? Very high in iron, which is a good segue into what we're going to talk about today, amongst some other things. Extremely healthy, and there's this stuff which, if you haven't tried it before, honestly, like I recommend that you try it. This is not yellow cocaine. She bought it off the back of a truck. It's called nutritional yeast, and it's kind of like a powdery substance. It makes a really good topping, extremely healthy for you, and it's super tasty. And it tastes kind of like cheese. It's like a cheese substitute for vegans. And on a little bit of everything, it's amazing. Sandy made like this vegan curry tonight, and it's awesome. So because of that, I've been eating less meat, and I've been feeling good. To be honest with you, I've been feeling good. I'm not gonna go vegan on you guys, but I think based on the whole like two-week experience I've been doing with Senya, I think I would really consider trying to source more healthy complex carbohydrates from different sources, and maybe even reduce the amount of meat that I'm eating. I don't know. I understand like why vegans become vegans, but I also think that at this stage in life right now, it's my personal belief that my body runs a little bit better on meat, mostly poultry, and I understand the ethical consequences, right? And I think that's one of the things that would motivate me to stop eating meat. They're doing some weird stuff with test tube, fibrous, stem cell meat, which is disgusting as it sounds. It's kind of attractive to me because it's an ethical way of eating meat that's never been cognizant before. So it's being developed. If they roll it out of the market, I try it. Even some of the meat substitutes have been pretty good. So anyway, moving on to iron. Iron's the micronutrient of the night that I want to talk to you guys about. And interesting thing about iron is it's the #1 deficiency amongst adults in North America. And why is iron important? Iron is a really important part of hemoglobin. And for anybody who doesn't know, hemoglobin is the substance that is inside of red blood cells that actually carries oxygen from your lungs and transports it around your body. And that hemoglobin represents about 2/3 of your body's overall iron sources. So if you don't have enough iron in your body, you can't make enough healthy oxygen carrying red blood cells, right? And of course, you guys have heard the term anemia before, and that basically refers to when you're low in iron and you can't make enough of those blood cells to be able to properly transport oxygen around your body, right? So without enough red blood cells, you're not going to get enough oxygen, and it can cause a lot of different symptoms. The primary being fatigue, right? Pure exhaustion, and it can affect everything from your brain function to your immune system and your ability to fight off infections. So for that reason, iron is really important. It also does have a couple other functions as well, with the ability to maintain healthy cells, skin, hair, nails, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people don't really necessarily know that they're low in iron until they actually start to see some of these symptoms, right? Sometimes the skin will actually appear pale, they'll get really fatigued, or even if they're in really good shape, they have difficulty exercising, and they'll actually gas a lot quicker. Like your cardio will, you get tired a lot quicker. So it's interesting, right? A couple other symptoms that, if you're low in iron, things that you might recognize, or at least symptoms thereof, are going to be short of breath. You're going to have cold hands, cold feet. Um, sounds weird, but it's one of the symptoms. You're going to crave weird substances, like like clay. I've never personally wanted to eat clay, but this does happen. Don't you laugh at me. Yeah, clay. I know. Have some clay for breakfast, Martha. It's in the oven. Anyway, so yeah, dirt or clay. Wanting to eat clay, I guess, is one of those things. You can also start getting really brittle nails, and you can start losing your hair. You can find sores at the corners of your mouth. You get a sore tongue of all things, and it can also cause issues with your swallowing. So, um, iron deficiency is a real thing. If you're low in iron, you're gonna know it, and you might not know why, but you're gonna know that you're experiencing these symptoms. And as I said, it's the #1 deficiency, particularly amongst women, and women need more iron to replenish the blood that they lose that's associated with their menstrual cycle. So it's kind of interesting. Um, Now it's difficult to overdose in eating iron from like healthy food sources, and a lot of the healthy food sources that you eat iron with, #1 of course is actually meat. And interestingly, the iron that's absorbed from meat is absorbed easier than it is from vegetables, which is something that you really have to pay attention to if you're a vegan or if you're a vegetarian, are your iron amounts, because the stuff that you find in meat is more, it's just more readily absorbed by your body. Um, so typically speaking, men, you absorb. It's not just about the amount of iron you're eating. It's also about the amount of iron that you're actually absorbing. And typically speaking, we absorb approximately 10% of the iron that we eat out of our foods. But there's also actually a condition. It's not a good thing if you've got an overabsorption of iron. It's known as hemochromatosis, where people absorb up to 30% of iron. And if you consume too much iron, and it builds up to a dangerous level, and it can actually cause deposits inside of your heart, inside of your liver. It can cause diabetes and a bunch of other things, right? So primary sources of liver, of course, as I spoke about, typically speaking, red meat and chicken as well. You can also get it from oatmeal, complex oats, and fortified cereals. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about cereals like Red River and stuff like that, stuff that's kind of fortified and healthy with complex carbohydrates. And then it's really, really prevalent in a lot of vegetables as well, but as I spoke about, you're going to absorb it a little bit easier from the other things, right? So as well as beans, lentils, tofu, spinach is a major source of iron, right? So if you're diagnosed with hemochromatosis, you don't want to take iron supplements. But if you are not eating, of course, the appropriate amounts of food, taking a multivitamin can help. But you want to be careful, because if you go too far, you can put yourself into trouble. So iron directly associated with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what's responsible for transporting oxygen around your body, and low iron leads to extreme fatigue and a pile of other issues. So iron, get your iron in. I want to talk to you guys tonight. I spoke about something. This is a little controversial. I do always talk about it in all the challenges, and it's a weird one to approach, because I want to be honest with you guys, and I want to be real with you guys. But I wanted to address something in my experience, therefore, with it. And I want you guys to know that this is not an endorsement to do so. This is just, I think it's good that you guys have knowledge of this, because a lot of people aren't necessarily educated about these kind of things, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. But I want to tell you about my experience, and I want to open up with you guys, and I want to be real with you guys, because I think that a lot of the stuff that we consume on social media sets these unrealistic expectations about how we should look, right? Moving into a photo shoot, you got guys who manipulate sodium, they manipulate water, right? Taking diuretics, and taking steroids, right? But I also, I want to be real with you guys, and I want to talk about it with you guys, because I just think it's a good education thing. #1, I do not condone the use of steroids. However, I have used steroids, and they've done some really, really bad things to my body, which is why I want to talk to you guys about them. when I was younger, I was very against it for quite a while in athletics. When I was competing in kickboxing and rugby, I was very against it. But as I got into bodybuilding, I started to realize that it's something that's very associated with the sport, and I took steroids for quite some time, to be honest with you, and I did some irreversible damage to my body. Um, an interesting thing happens when you take testosterone, and I'm going to be completely straight with you guys right now. I do take what's called testosterone replacement therapy, and I'm leading up to something with all this, but I just want to give you guys a bit of education about it so that you're cognizant of it. This is number one. If an athlete takes steroids and does not train properly and does not eat properly, there is uh, there is no chance of them achieving a good physique. It's just you don't just take steroids and you get into shape, right? You have to have your diet on point, and you have to have everything else on point. But I think a lot of people consume these images in social media, and they see people who are in amazing shape and they're jacked at 8% body fat, and they're shredded and there's veins everywhere, and they're like, I want to look like that guy. Well, the truth of the matter is that that guy probably prepped for 20 weeks or 16 weeks or at least a substantial amount of time, and took several anabolic substances that did some damage to his body in order to get there. It's not really a healthy precedent to have necessarily, and it's why I always talk to you guys about you got to be your own measure of success, because you're fed a lot of things on a daily basis that just aren't necessarily true, and it's not necessarily real. So um, as I said to you guys, I became involved in bodybuilding. It's very much a part of the sport. I would say that 99% of my clientele are natural. I prefer to deal with it that way. I prefer to deal with those kind of clientele. I do coach some guys into competitions. Those are only close friends of mine, and I make sure they know the risks. And there are risks because through my indiscretion, I've caused some pretty serious consequences in my body that I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. And as I said, I don't take steroids now. I do take testosterone injections to be able to maintain a certain level of testosterone within my body, and that's medically supervised. And the reason why I have to do that is by taking supplemental exogenous testosterone when I was younger, um, my body eventually began to stop producing its own. So for the rest of my life, I will be, sorry, sweetie. For the rest of my life, I will be taking injections in order to maintain my testosterone. Now, a lot of these guys that you see on social media are doing a lot more than testosterone injections. They're taking a lot of pills, and they're taking a lot of anabolics. The truth of the matter is that an injection is a little bit healthier than a pill, and the reason for that is a pill has to go through your system twice. It passes through your esophagus, through your digestive system, and then into your bloodstream, as opposed to an injection just passes into your bloodstream. But the reason why I'm talking about it is because you need to maintain, yes please, you need to maintain a certain amount of, you just need to know that what you guys consume on social media is not real. And a lot of these guys who are, anybody who steps on a bodybuilding stage, a lot of professional athletes, a lot of guys who you wouldn't even know in the UFC actually take anabolic steroids. Not all anabolic steroids make you large, but just about all anabolic steroids do damage to your system. As I said, my issue was when I eventually came to a point where I went to go see a doctor. A doctor explained to me that I was on the brink of having a heart attack because, as I mentioned, I talked about hemoglobin. My hemoglobin levels were through the roof, and the bad thing about having hemoglobin levels that are really high is that your blood clots a lot easier, which makes you more prone to stroke or heart attack. And he basically, I went to him and I said, listen, I'm trying to get off this stuff, and I need your help. And he said, well, unfortunately, you're probably going to be taking exogenous testosterone for the rest of your life. And they play around with your levels, and they find they put you on the same level as a healthy 21-year-old person. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is I work out hard, very hard, but I also have an advantage as well. So I just want to be honest and open with you guys about that, because I don't think it's fair to sit here and talk to you guys. Anybody that steps onto a bodybuilding stage, a lot of professional athletes, even though they may deny it, unless it's a natural show, and even then, are often on steroids. But I guess what I'm trying to say is just be really careful about what you consume on social media. Realize that there's just because somebody looks healthy on the outside, it doesn't mean they're healthy on the inside, right? Me, for one, because of some dumb choices that I made when I'm younger, I'll be taking injections for the rest of my life likely, because if I don't, my testosterone will crash. And when you don't have an adequate amount of testosterone in your body, it has a ton of emotional effects. It has a ton of physiological effects. Estrogen levels raise, and it's just a bad scene. So I guess what I'm getting at, without trying to ramble on too much, because I feel like I'm rambling right now, um, is don't take everything that you see. You know, when you see these guys who are jacked and they're shredded and they're 8% body fat, they trained for probably 16, 20 weeks in order to get to that position, and their liver is shot, their kidneys are shot, and even though they may look amazing on the outside, they're probably dying on the inside. So for that reason, I highly, highly recommend that you stay away from it. But I just think it's important for you guys to know that not everything is as it seems. And it's also important for me to tell you and be honest with you guys that I do take exogenous testosterone. And because of that, I have to get blood work done frequently. I also have to give blood because I have excess hemoglobin that builds up, which can cause possibility of heart attack and stroke. And there's a lot of things associated with it. So just make good decisions. Of course, you know, I think we have a bit of an older crowd here, but just know that the only person that you have to be better than is yourself, and that's the guy who's staring in the mirror every day. And taking testosterone can have devastating. Taking testosterone and other anabolics can have some really, really bad side effects in your system. And if you just dig down and put in the work, you can do really well yourself. Are you going to be as jacked as that guy who's sitting in the Arnold stage? The truth of the matter is no, you're not. You're not going to be that jacked. You're never going to be that jacked. You don't want to be that jacked. That guy is rotting on the inside. He looks great on the outside, but he's unhealthy as all hell. He's rotting on the inside, and sorry, I just saw a notification for ball come up. He's rotting on the inside, and it's not healthy. So just you get in really good shape naturally. You don't need these things, and people who take these things run into a lot of problems in life, and it can take years off your life. So just be careful. Don't trust everything that you see on social media. But at the same time, to each his own. There's a lot of guys who make that decision to go out and do that kind of thing, and I don't judge them either. And I definitely don't condone it, but I don't judge it. And just, you're the only person you have to be. You don't need this kind of things to lead a healthy life. And ultimately, if you stay away from these kind of things, you're going to live a healthy, long life. You can get in amazing shape just by following a proper diet and by working out regularly. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that, because I just don't believe in a lot of guys out there will deny, and I do not take steroids anymore because I want to. I take them now because I have to, because I've done irreversible damage to my system. And thanks to that, I'll be taking injections for the rest of my life. So just make good decisions. Of course, you guys already know this. I don't think I'm talking to anybody in the room who doesn't already know this, but it's just important to address, and it's important to be honest with you guys. So I wanted to bring that up and talk to you guys about that. Get the pink elephant out of the room. Do I take steroids? I don't take anabolics. I do take testosterone. That's a hormone. It's not a natural hormone. Do I do it because I want to, or do I do it because I have to? At this point, I have to, because I made some really bad decisions when I was younger. Luckily, I got away from the orals and everything else, so that's the only thing that I have to do these days. I'll probably be doing it for the rest of my life, but just live by your own standards, man. Don't consume everything you see on social media. Don't believe the hype. The only person that you have to wake up and look in the eyes every morning is yourself. And doing it naturally is the only way. It's more sustainable. It's healthier. And the guys who are on stage, and the guys who are jacked, and the guys who are shredded at 8% body fat, train for 16 weeks to get there, and it's for like a 30-minute snapshot of a window. So that's it. Just wanted to be honest with you guys, wanted to be real with you guys, talk to you guys a little bit about that, and tell you that those things can have some really, really detrimental effects in your life. And I've made the decisions, I've been there, and now I'm paying the price for it. So a little bit about that for you. Anyway, guys, hopefully that didn't turn you off. I just think it's something that we got to bring up. I think it's one of those tough conversations that we got to have, and I believe in pussyfooting around, and I don't believe in hiding it from you. So that's that. Anyway, I hope you guys are having an awesome night. If you have any questions about any of these things, if you want to ask me any questions based on what I just talked about with you, please do. I encourage you to. I'm very open, I'm very honest, and I won't lie to you. So feel free to drop me a DM, feel free to drop me an email, and I can talk to you about some of my experiences. Anyway, it's always a hard one. It's a hard one for me to have, but I just think that it needs to be had because so many people in this industry lie about it, and they say they've never used, and these guys are just completely shredded and they're in amazing shape, and they put all these false images, this false level of attainability for everybody. Buy my program, you'll be as shredded as I am. And meanwhile, the guy's injecting all sorts of stuff and swallowing all sorts of pills, and it really messes with people. It messes with people's mentality because they're like, why can't I look like that guy? Well, that's why. And you can get in really damn good shape without it, and you'll live a lot longer if you stay away from it. I can guarantee you I've probably cut 10 years off my life. So I'm going to leave you guys with that for tonight. I got so much I want to talk about this week. I hope everybody's doing really well. You have any questions, have anything I can do for you, please send it my way. I will answer it. You guys are awesome. I'm going to set up a time for us to just have a little chat. We can all kind of crack jokes and have fun here in the group. Much love. Have a great night. I'll see you guys soon.